Good evening. Welcome to the July 2nd Town Council meeting. Let's stand to salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I was looking in the audience for Tom Mann, but I don't see him. He was going to do a beautiful 4th of July patriotic song for us, but I don't see him. So we're going to move on in the agenda. We have no minutes to approve tonight. We're going to move right to the showcase and presentations, updating an update for the council and the public on the Galilee Advisory Leasing Committee, and President Pro Tem Matt Mannix is on that. So I'm going to ask if he can give us an update.
Susan, the president, asked me to provide an update about what's going. Hello? Oh, is that better?
Yeah.
Oh, is that because of the fan?
Yeah, I think it's because of the fan.
Okay, all right. So make sure we can hear. So thank you to the president for asking me to address this issue. It's something that several people have had questions about. I'm going to speak as close to the mic as I can, but basically, there was a proposal for the change of there's three lots in Galilee at the old Dutch Inn site. And there was a proposal by the tenant of one of those lots to change to amend the lease and to make it to make that a parking lot. And so there was a meeting of the Galilee Lease Advisory Committee actually last summer on this. So the Lease Advisory Committee only meets on an as-needed basis, and the members of the committee are two members from DEM, which is a liaison, which is now Dean Hoxie, who many of you are familiar with, and the attorney for DEM, and then the town manager and a council member are. The town manager's on there, and then one of the council members. So I'm the liaison to that committee, which doesn't meet on a frequent basis, but has to meet in the situations where a lease is being amended. So at that time, we met about this particular lease. This committee, unlike most town committees, provides advice to the State Properties Committee regarding any property in Galilee that's state-owned. Now, 90% of Galilee is state-owned by DEM and governed by these kind of leases. Now, the goal of many people, especially members of what is the Galilee Advisory Committee, and many people who live in that area, is to preserve the nature of Galilee and keep it focus on its fishing routes as a fishing port. So what happened was we received we went over the proposed amendment to the lease. The town manager expressed our concerns about it, and that item at this time is not, there's no final decision on that. No decision was made at that meeting last summer. Several boards and commissions in town have expressed their point of view about not amending the lease. And again, this committee, the Lease Advisory Committee, provides advice to the State Properties Committee that eventually goes to the State Properties Committee, which would make decisions on changing or amending those leases. So the Lease Advisory Committee is not a decision-making body, but it is a place where the town has a voice on this issue. So at this time, we have not been asked to reconvene that particular committee, which again only meets when needed, and we will be continuing to do our best to make sure that that lease is not amended and advocating for that position. Is that helpful?
Matt. Yes, it's helpful. I hope it was helpful to the council and the public, so thank you for the update. Okay,
One other thing on that too, Susan, if anybody does want to contact me about that in more detail, feel free to call me or to email me, and I can go into more detail, but I don't want to bore everybody with the specifics of the lease. So thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Yes. We're going to move into open forum. Is there anybody wishing to speak for open forum? Please come up and state your name and your address.
David Winter, Boone Street.
David, you're going to have to really tonight, I just want to let the public know, you're going to have to really speak up because it's very hard to hear up here.
Okay. My prediction is this summer, between name being in the Globe and the parking practices, is going to be the worst one for traffic ever. What seems to be happening, there's a process where someone complains and we put up no parking signs, and then someone else complains and we put up no parking signs, etc. And this isn't a matter of safety, because for decades we've had much more lax parking rules with absolutely no problems at all. What we're dealing with here, I think, is a change in the gestalt of Narragansett, which was, at one point in time, it was, okay, summer's here, things are going to get hectic, things are going to get crowded, I probably should be a little bit more careful out there, to now where parking has become this great evil that we seem to have to want to stomp out. And I think at the rate we're going with this process, eventually the Chamber of Commerce, in all honesty, is going to have to advertise and say, welcome to Narragansett. We really don't want you here, but we do want your money, and we're going to make it stay here as annoying and bothersome as possible. And while we're at it, our iconic symbol, the towers, we're going to replace that with a no parking sign. Now, what we seem to have happening here right now is a reactive, linear reaction going on. I think we need a more nuanced approach, a strategy that considers not only the traffic that is going up into the town, the traffic that's on the road with all these frustrated drivers. In addition to that, we need to see where this is affecting our downtown businessmen, and we need a more nuanced approach to what we're doing with the parking situation. Now, on a lighter note, fireworks. This isn't the thing I talked about last time. This is a completely new idea. It's something for the future. They have these things called drone fireworks. And the technology is brand new and it's awfully expensive, so we can't even think of it now. But as a future thing, just imagine 500 drones off the beach in Narragansett going through all these shapes and designs and stuff like that. I think it'd be pretty amazing, and I might get to finally see my dragon. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak? Stanley?
Stan Wojciechowski in Narragansett. I just wanted to follow up on foreign related. Did I hear right at the last meeting? I had an anti-tank weapon go off close to my right ear, and I'm a little deaf a little bit, and I can't believe what I heard. A leader of a groups out here, that the foreign related is not about noise, and it's not violating property rights. It's not about that. Who can stay? It's not about violating property rights. Did I really hear that right? I can't believe I heard that news out there. To me, it seems so almost so ridiculous, where even the Providence law that's going on is about noise from PC, and surely it affects my property rights when government tells me who cannot come on my property or anyone's property. I think if you look here, I read in the paper further that there's a house being built a couple of streets over. It's called, it's designed as a staycation living home. It sleeps 11. So we have a single lot, I imagine, and a home right here in the center of Narragansett with 11 bedrooms, brand new home. Looks beautiful. I love it. Please build many more like it. 11 bedrooms. But now you're going to tell me somebody's going to police that home to make sure there's no more than 4 unrelated people there. This is so ridiculous to keep on pursuing. And let me just suggest another route rather than this foreign related. Maybe we ought to talk to the URI president and ask him, every time we have a student get a yellow sticker, he's suspended for the rest of the semester, just the rest of the semester. That'll get attention from him and his parents. So there's one solution, not foreign related. Or we can also pursue what Chief Hoxie did one time, cost recovery. If somebody gets a sticker, every tenant that's there pays at least $1,000 cost recovery to pay for the police action that's required. I don't know why that hasn't been followed through. But there's two solutions in lieu of for unrelated that violates my freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. Richard?
Richard Vangemers, Osceola. Pardon me. Ching. All right. This is one more attempt to bring back the name Canachet, which was relatively recently changed to the North Beach Club from the Canachet Beach Club. Canachet, Miantomoni, Canonicus, and the Narragansetts remain very much alive in today's historical writings. I've just finished James A. Warren's God, War, and Providence, a popular press book on the lead up to King Philip's War, and that's available in all bookstores. Two other new books, both from the Yale Press, an academic press, Lisa Brooks' Our Beloved Kin, A New History of King Philip's War, and Christine M. DeLucia's Memory Lane, King Philip's War, and the Place of Violence in the Northeast. Canachet, hence, is once again a brand name, a marketing tool for us. We have a statue to Canachet, a rather beautiful statue. The Narragansetts are in the town tapestry downstairs here, and in the magnificent wall outside Pier Village, one I think everyone probably doesn't appreciate as it is. We had a Canachet Hall from 1869 to 1889. We also had Sprague's Canachet Mansion from about 1868 to the fire in 1909. We still have Canachet Farm. Let's re-honor Canachet with our beach club. We also need to get the 13th century Narragansett village in the Salt Pond area into the fabric of the town. We just aren't doing that. We're leaving it out, and it's really in nobody's fabrics. With the 350th anniversary of the Great Swamp Holocaust coming up on December 19th, 2025, we in Narragansett need to be in the forefront of our rich Narragansett heritage.
Thank you, Richard. Anybody wishing to speak? Catherine.
I'm Catherine Celeberto, 48 Earls Court. Back in November, Assistant Solicitor Berg took over for unrelated litigation. If you listen to him speak, he figured out pretty quickly that we had filed our appeal in the wrong court. So what I want to know is, when did the town council members become aware of this, and who gave him the authority really to do nothing at all? Because I'm sure he figured out very quickly, and he should have withdrawn our appeal, really our petition from Superior Court, and filed in Supreme Court. And yet he did nothing. He waited until the day after Providence's ordinance was upheld by Judge Keogh, and then he withdrew our petition, but he didn't do anything else. Now it's just hanging there. And I'd like to really know what the heck is going on, but especially, when did the town council, when were they advised that our appeal had been filed in the wrong court?
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak at open forum? Seeing nobody else wishing to speak, we're going to move on. Oh. Do you want to come up to the mic? Okay, yep. Mike, did you want to?
Yeah, I'd like to pull number 11 until we're closer to a closing date.
Number 11 on the agenda?
It's
Okay.
pertaining to the library.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I guess.
Okay.
So we can wait until after comments.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Good evening. Nancy Crawley, 49 Conch Road, Great Island. I'm a little late coming to the game on fog and what's going on in Galilee with the Lighthouse Inn. I know there's about a dozen of us here, and I think we're becoming more and more concerned. Councilman Mannix, if I could ask you briefly, when you said you didn't want to bore us with the details of the last agreement, if you could share with us something about that.
Well, it's just, yeah, it's
Or
just
is that not appropriate?
It's totally appropriate. It's the matter of public record. You can get the lease yourself, so I didn't want to get into all the
Okay.
bottom line on the lease arrangement is that they want to change from a hotel restaurant use to a parking use.
Okay,
That's just,
I will look it up. Thank you.
No, I can get you a copy. Yep.
Thank you, I
Yep.
appreciate it. I'm here to speak on behalf of many residents on Great Island, is that we are very concerned about that area becoming a parking lot. The benefit, I don't think, would be to us, the residents. I think it's a total benefit to Block Island, and I love Block Island, and I wish them well. But that Galilee Strip, for those of us that live here year-round and in Narragansett, would really like to see an economic development, something to the nature of the boutique hotel that's Chair 5. And I have been in there numerous times, and it's hopping. And that spot would be a perfect spot to bring people, tourists, to come and visit our fishing boats and the whole port, besides also having a place where those of us that are here year-round can support. If we think we have parking crisis now and cars coming down the escape road to park, I can't imagine another area housing, I don't know how many cars, was it about 400, 500, is that, whatever. And they're not necessarily Narragansett residents. There's a lot of people that come here to vacation, and they come and they use that area, and they're gone. And we don't get the benefit of freely walking down there. I have concerns about that, as the traffic is so tight now. But anyway, the Narragansett residents on Great Island have a great concern. We deeply want to keep this to be an economic development draw, and we don't feel as though a parking lot would do it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Right. So, Shelley, so FOG is here, that's Friends of Galilee, and they're very concerned about Galilee, and I'm glad that Matt could do the update. I see a lot of people out there. Obviously, it's important that people know about that organization. People should get involved. I wanted the council to be well-versed on what the group was doing and what was happening in Galilee. So thank you for coming out tonight. Shelley?
You almost took my words. Shelley Weintraub, I'm Vice President of Friends of Galilee, known as FOG. First of all, thank you, Susan. Thank you, Matt. And thank you, Jill, for your support, for showing up to our meetings. We have been meeting since late winter of 2017. We have over 100 members. We just had a very successful fundraiser where we had went beyond our expectations of what we were able to do, and we had filled the room. And we have an enormous amount of people who are very, very concerned about the future of Galilee. So I just wanted to say that we're here to work with you, and anything that we can do, we're here to loan that support, and we have a lot of people who are totally committed to working for the long haul. Just a final note, July 11th at the South Kingston Guild, there will be a visioning workshop, and we will be gathering to begin, and after all these months of just trying to coordinate who we are and to become a not-for-profit, we're now ready to listen to everybody's thoughts and ideas of really what Galilee should be. So with the help of the planning department here and Mike DeLuca, we will have some maps, we'll have information on zoning, and this will be one of, we hope, many sit-down workshops, ideas flowing, and hopefully we'll be able to present something later on to each of you, and of course you're all welcome. So thanks.
Thank you, and Shelley, thank you for your leadership on that group, so thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak?
Yeah, I
Anybody
just
else?
also wanted to recognize the FOG group for getting formed, and they've got formed in response to that lease agreement trying to be changed, and that was their concern, and that's how they first started. So,
Great.
wanted to recognize them for their efforts.
Anybody else wishing to speak? Okay, we have about 5 minutes before the public hearing. So let's see, maybe we can go through the consent agenda. Is there anybody on the council that has an item to pull from the consent agenda? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the consent?
Aye.
Aye.
5-0, motion passes. And I think probably we'll have to just take the 5 minutes, because if we move up. So we're going to have to take 5 minutes until the public hearing, so it's a 5-minute break until then. Thank you.
So it's like, what do you want to do with it? And some people want to just leave it the way it is.
He's such a fucking rat. I can't fucking stand him.
Now you know what's going to be fun to watch right now? My beef last time was I thought it should be a rule that one say I am
Right.
you know, that way people know. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck. What happened? What
I
happened?
want to work the room. I'm a retiree.
What? No, you need to run. Did you buy something else? Did you buy something else?
No, I keep looking.
Yeah.
Put an offer on that one on Spice Bush.
Yeah.
They still want too much money for that
How
one.
much do you want for that? 300.
That's got to start with a 3, they said. I told them for a 260. It's like a 1,200 square foot rate.
Right.
Have you been in there?
No.
It's windows, doors,
Right.
flooring, kitchen,
Well,
bath.
who has that? Somebody from out of
It's a
town.
321 or something like that.
What?
You sell that one at Overlook?
No, we lowered the price.
To what?
344. It won't last.
It's 344.
I had 6 people in my open house.
Yeah, I'm the only one who gave you an offer.
I know. Was it in writing?
I
Was there
told
a
you, I'll
check?
give it to you right. I'll give you cash.
I got to fix her up in SK. Matt, hey Matt, there's not much we can do. That's a state issue, right? We can't alter that lease. I mean, if this guy wants to put up
We
a
can advise.
yeah, but we have no.
But DEM's on our side right now.
Yeah, but we basically have no legal recourse.
Yes and no.
I mean,
Because we would do, well, that's kind of why we want to be open.
yeah,
Because if you're not, then they're going to just do it.
yeah, right. Now you and Jill are on that committee, right? The Galley
I'm,
advisory.
she's not.
She's
There's
not.
only one person.
You are.
I'm Galley Advisory, and then the lease advisory only meets when a lease.
See, the problem is, at least now from the state, how the hell can you tell them not to do something? I mean, can you force
Well, the
them?
state properties committee ultimately votes. So,
Can
but
they-
the
can they-
DEM, right now DEM's on our side.
Yeah,
I don't want
can
to.
they force them to put a hotel up there?
That's where it gets. I got picked up. That was open mic.
Probably now. I probably would now. You don't think so? All right. It's 8 o'clock. I'd like to reconvene the meeting. It's time for the public hearing. You said it, but can you say it a little bit louder so everybody knows? just as I get ready for the public hearing, just to say in case. Yeah. Oh, that's what I was wondering. Okay, it's 8 o'clock.
So just to be clear, did we poll before the
Little bit
public
louder, I know that-
before we start the public hearing? Can we poll number 11
Yes,
until we get closer to a
closing date.
closing date? Sure.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, public hearing. I need a motion to open the public hearing on an application for Edward Torrey and Julia Messingler from Narragansett Bistro, 904 Boston Neck Road. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
5 to 0, motion passes. The public hearing is now open. I see the applicants are here. Oh, and Mr. Murray is recusing himself from this project, so you could maybe go sit in the audience if you want.
Hello.
Yeah, again, that's what you normally do.
Excuse
Hi,
me.
welcome.
Can you please state your name and your address?
Julie Meisler, 40 South Pier.
Ted Torty, 40 South Pier Road, Narragansett.
Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. So just to address what we're doing, is that basically what everyone wants to know? So small bistro, 40 seats with a 10-seat bar. It's going to be a true American bistro. The menu will be varied. It won't be cheap, won't be expensive. I know there was some concern about parking. Our landlord has guaranteed he's putting in at least 20 spaces in the back of the property. I don't know what else you need to know. It's pretty straightforward.
So I have a question. So the parking, just I'm familiar with the building. So where's the extra parking going to be?
So do you know in the back, like where fuel is, behind there, that grassy area?
Okay.
That is the landlord's property also, and that's where he intends to put parking.
Okay.
I'm completely fine. I did have some questions about the parking as well, but I did go to the planning board meeting, and they seemed to have full agreement on it, and there was a good comprehensive plan. And I know because I live up there that the lot in the front is open a lot, later on when the businesses are closed. So there are those actual existing spots.
Right.
So I was happy to hear that not only will they have those, but they'll have the existing in the back. So
Correct,
I
yes.
thought that was great. Few people had some concerns around the noise. I said it's going to be fairly small from what I understand. Can you just talk about, you're not going to have any entertainment? I know the people in Metuxet that
Right.
are kind of on the back end said, that sounds great, but I'm kind of concerned if it was going to be noisy. What were the hours going to be?
Well, we'll be open until, the dining room will be open until 10 o'clock. I don't expect to have a large bar crowd. We'll have a small bar. So I don't see a rowdy crowd. Again, it's not for kids per se, more for adults. I'd love to be out of there by 11, 12 o'clock. That would be ideal for someone who works in restaurants. That's the whole idea. That's why we're doing this, so we can work less hours. And so I don't see noise being an issue late because we probably won't be open.
And so I'm good with that. I know it's for the license. So does anybody else from the council have any questions about the bistro and the liquor license?
There's 10. Just to confirm, 10 seats at the bar?
10 seats, yeah.
10 seats at the bar.
10 seats at the bar. Hopefully you'll be out of there, but is there an official closing time?
Well, that's difficult to say.
No, yeah, I know, you don't wanna
Right.
kick
I would,
people
I
out,
would
but-
like to, the kitchen closed at 10 o'clock during
Okay.
the summertime. In the winter, 9 o'clock, when,
Yep.
when it's not as busy. Truthfully, if someone's staying there and they're having a bottle of wine and it's past 10 o'clock, I don't intend on throwing them out.
Okay.
But I think I'm trying to paint a picture. It's more an adult environment.
I understand. Yep.
So it's not, kids aren't going to go in there. It's not going to appeal to them.
Yep.
Any other questions from the council? Okay, thank you. Anybody from the public wishing to speak on the bistro? Anybody for or opposed? Catherine?
Catherine Celebrato, 48 Earls Court. This is my same question every time
Catherine,
someone...
would you please raise
Oh,
your right
sorry.
hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. Catherine Celebrato, Celeberto. Okay. 48 Earls Court. It's my same question every time someone comes up for a liquor license. Why don't we do a national criminal database check rather than just the local BCI, Rhode Island? And I really think we should. I think Mr. Torty is from Rhode Island, right? Your whole family's from Rhode Island, so it's not so much of an issue. But we have had, again, problems in the past when people come in from out of state and they don't fully divulge their other issues they've had, and we only do a Rhode Island check. That BCI is only a Rhode Island check. Have you been arrested in Rhode Island? That's it. And I really think we should expand the record check. I believe the police department has access to the National Criminal Database, right? I believe so. So it would be a simple thing to do. Just as a precautionary measure, you know, no objection to this or anything like that. I just think we should just do a little bit further because it's so easy because the police department has this access.
So Catherine asked that in the past. Any, opinion, belief on that, Mark or Jim? I mean, we do a state one.
Okay, well, I don't think they're aware of the problem we had in the past. I'll tell you later. So I just think out of an abundance of caution, we might want to do it, especially since it's so easy for us to do this. But otherwise, good luck. I'll be up one night.
Thank you, Catherine.
Madam President, the solicitor has advised that state law does not require a national check, just a local check.
Thank you, and we're on top of that pretty well. Okay, thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak? Wynn.
Wynn Hames, 30 Wood Avenue, Narragansett, Rhode Island. I do.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I so do. I'm not going to object to this, but I just really want them to be aware of the parking situation. I own the property across the street, and the last thing I want is people parking there and going back and forth over Boston Neck Road. So they have to be very aware, making sure their people park on that side of the road. Okay, that's all.
Thank you, Wynn. Anybody else wishing to speak for or against the bistro alcohol beverage license? Seeing.
I just had a question. What's the nature of the liquor license? BV. So it's not just beer and wine. It's full. Yeah, okay.
All set? Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
4 with 1 recusal. So the public hearing is now closed. Do I have a motion to accept the applicants?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 4, pass. The motion passes 4 with 1 recusal. Thank you. Congratulations. We look forward to stopping in the bistro. Good luck. Okay, we're going to move on the agenda, and
I'd like to move that we move item number 11 to the top of new business.
no, not 11, 14.
Oh, sorry.
11
Item
was
number
tabled.
14 to be at the top of new business.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so motion 14, a motion to direct community development staff to work with the town solicitor to draft an ordinance to create a special zone entitled Public Use/Farm Zone. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second? Second. Okay, it's open. Thanks, Steve, for being here. And we had talked about the farm and how it was residential, and there were some conversations that went to the planning board, and this idea, I think, came out of the planning board. So
Yeah.
I just wanted you to give the council and the public a little history on the farm and what's happened since the purchase in 1991.
So just briefly, Stephen Marcella for the town. When the town was purchased, it was purchased with certain funds, and as a condition of those funds, there are conservation easements that were recorded, which basically restrict the use that goes on at the farm. Those, in my opinion, those conservation restrictions are the most important aspect of conserving the farm as it is. However, currently the farm is still zoned residential. If you look at our use table, residential zone allows certain items which frankly may not be appropriate for that farm. The matter had become before the planning board to discuss changing that zone to a public use zone. However, when at the planning board meeting, when we actually looked at public use items in our zoning code, there were many items which frankly, again, weren't applicable to the farm. So in that case, it was the advice of both myself and members of the planning board to direct community development to really come up with essentially a farm zone or an open space zone that would allow farming, recreation, and other items that were consistent with the conservation easement, but yet not deem it public, because again, public allows certain uses which again aren't consistent with what the conservation easement and I believe the town wants for the farm.
So Steve, then it would go back and they'd work on it, and then we could see that at a later date?
Exactly. So Mike DeLuca, Community Development, myself would work on it, run it back through here and then back through the planning board to really drill down on the uses to make sure that it's wide enough to make the farm useful, but yet not too restrictive, and then bring it back ultimately to the public and to the board for a vote.
Because we want to protect it as well.
Yeah, so I have a couple questions. So because I've gone through a bunch of scenarios with this particular piece of property. So is the intention to make this community and taxpayer-friendly public use? So Mike Moretti can park his car, go for a walk, or is it the opposite? You want to restrict public use?
That's ultimately up to you.
No. So whoever's drafting the ordinance is going to have, put some intent into the ordinance, and the intent. I'm asking, is the intent? I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. But my question is, I would like to see this be really available to the public.
So if the issue that really came up at planning was, if you look at if you deem it public uses, there are uses in there that really are not applicable to farms. So the policy decision did not come up at the planning board meeting as far as how restrictive or how non-restrictive that ultimately the town wants. Again, as a land use attorney, the covenants that were in place when you purchased the property are really the ultimate protection. However, I believe the town can certainly add some protections around the edges to do whatever the council deems.
So, Mike, I think to answer your question, it's two different things. The zoning, because I had a long talk with Terry Fleming, the chair of the planning board this week as well, and there are how many, 70 so on?
There's 43 different public uses.
43 different public uses. So we'd be able to take that 43, hear from the planning board and community development, come back to us, and then limit that to the few that we want there. The other part for what you're asking, referring to, Tom Rogers, the chair of the Land Trust at the last Land Trust meeting, is looking at having public paths and hiking paths. We're doing both. So to answer your question, yes, it will be so the town, it's our farm, so that we can actually use that for recreational purposes. But at the same time, too, we want to make sure that the Land Trust protects it so that we don't have anything further go on to it. But we want to limit it down to just a few.
I understand that. Which is great. And I'm actually very curious. You don't have to answer this, but I can go do my own research. So when the town purchased this parcel, it was residential, and it still remains residential. It was never converted.
Yes.
So I'm just curious, how many residential lots would this 100-some-odd acres
That's
account?
what we don't want to find out. we want to keep it so it's
a lot.
It's R80.
Mike, a lot? Is that the number?
A lot.
Yeah, it's R80, so you can do the math minus the roads and the wetlands.
So I think this is a great initiative, and I think it's finally come to the point where people want to make policy out of, and make this, the use, appropriate. So, okay, that's.
And I think, Jill, you answered it perfectly. I was there the other day with Tom Rogers and a group on the hiking, and to see the trails, because we did purchase it. It does belong to the town, and when I saw it was residential, it just didn't make sense. It was like we bought it in 1991. We need to shore it up. But when you look at public use, we don't want another salt shed or anything like that. So we do have to drill it down so we protect it, yet we still want the community to have the availability to get there. So I think the planning board can come back. I think Vinnie and Delia, I credit him for the idea of looking at the farm district or the zone, which kind of keeps it clean and keeps it to the farm, because who knows, we might purchase another farm and have another opportunity to protect some other things.
Correct.
So, okay, I think that, any other questions on that?
Procedurally, so we referred this is the part I'm confused about. We referred it to the planning board, so have they technically just continued their discussion?
Exactly. So they just continued. It came back to here, I believe, with essentially instructions for community development, myself and Mark to work on basically the kind of the change in strategy.
And it'd be
as
a
far as-
brand new zone is what you're contemplating?
Exactly, correct.
Okay, so, so that was why, that would seem strange. I said we already referred this once, but they felt they were at
Yeah,
a
it
stand,
was-
they felt
yeah.
they were at a standstill as a board.
Correct, because it was referred to a zone change for public use. When we drilled down on the public use, there were a lot of public uses that shouldn't be allowed.
And that is on their agenda, Mike, for this month? Yes.
17th.
The 17th.
Yeah, the special meeting on the 25th, Mike?
I thought it was the 17th.
25th.
I think so.
Anyway, we'll get that date. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, you're welcome.
Any questions from the council? Any questions from the public? All those in favor of having this looked at and worked on with the community development and the solicitor and going back to the planning board on the special zone, all in favor?
Aye.
5-0, motion passes. Number 12, a motion to adopt a resolution opposing House Bill 77425 to disband the Smithfield Land Trust. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. I actually put this on for the chair of the land trust. He said that the trust spoke about it. It's really after the fact. General Assembly is now out of session. But it really is an important bill to talk about protecting the 19 land trusts around the state. And so even though it was after they've, already are not in session, it's really important that the town of Narragansett stand loud and clear on supporting a land trust to acquire land and open space and protect for the future. So I think he just wanted us to solidify the vote from the land trust. Anybody from the council? Anybody from the public? All those in favor?
Aye.
5-0, motion passes. Thank you, Tom. Moving on. 13, a motion to approve the funding for and authorize the town manager to sign the contract with Nyhart to prepare a pension plan document. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Town Manager, do you want to?
Madam President, speaking with Laura Kenny, the Finance Director, this type of study has never been done for the town, and knowledge is power, obviously. So this study here is not to determine the liabilities, it's to define what our pension plan is. It's loosely defined right now by our ordinance and by our union contracts. This study here would, we would hire Nyhart to come up with a comprehensive review of our ordinances and the union contracts, excuse me, and they would come up with one document that would clearly define what the pensions are for each pension plan that we offer. I think it's money well spent. Nyhart has proved to be a valued resource to the future planning of the town's financial stability. Looking over this document, the price we estimate is approximately $20,000 for this study.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions from the council? I mean, I found Nyhart to be excellent. Any questions, concerns? Anybody from the public?
Is the proposal from Nyhart somewhere for me to review? Just curious after. I mean, I know that you have summary points here, written plan, information on trust fund, but is there,
No.
can I actually see the proposal?
I'll get it for you, yes. I'll email that.
Oh, it is in the back?
It's
Oh,
in the
it is?
packet, but you want something in addition to what's in
No,
the
no,
packet?
I didn't, I thought it was attached to the actual motion, but I don't
Okay.
see it. Maybe I'm just not.
I thought you wanted something additional to
No, no.
this.
I'll review it, thanks.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that an aye, Patrick?
Yes, it is.
Oh, 5-0, motion passes. We did 14, we're on 15. A motion to approve the filling of one vacancy within the wastewater division due to pending resignation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
What is the resignation date?
The resignation, I think it has already occurred. Yes, this was an employee that was hired. He was a retiree of the West Warwick Treatment Plant. He was a good employee, just the commute in the beach traffic was why he decided to resign. So this position is needed for sure.
Thank you, Jim. Anybody from the public wishing to speak? Anybody from the council? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
5-0, motion passes. Last motion, we have motion 16, a motion to reappoint one individual to the zoning and plating board, minimum housing board of review for a 5-year term to expire July 1st, 2023, to reappoint two individuals as alternates for a 1-year term to expire July 1st, 2019. Before we do the putting up the names, I know there was some discussion on this, but this is discretionary. So we're just gonna move forward with the appointments unless the council has any will to set up any kind of interviews.
No, I wanted to be clear, though, that I've been pretty strongly opposed to not interviewing even reappointees, but this is fine. It's at our discretion, and these people are
And I hadn't
certainly
heard from
quality
anybody, so
individuals.
I assume that everybody was fine with the appointments. Is there anybody that wishes for an interview at this point? Okay.
I just had a question. What about attendance? What kind of attendance have we been getting from these?
Well, Patrick, that's a great question
Because I mean, these guys miss a meeting and there's no quorum. People spend a lot of money to get in front of these folks.
So let's separate the items, and then if someone's attendance you have problems with, you let us know. So I'll move to
I thought they
appoint
were
Joe
supposed-
Paglia.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Yeah, I think.
We can talk about the attendance issue after, but all those in favor of Joe Paglia?
Aye.
Aye.
Are you an aye?
I said aye,
5-0?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Move to appoint John C. Kennedy as an alternate.
I'll second that.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Again, what about attendance? What are we going to do with the attendance?
Well, Patrick, tell us who.
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
No,
I mean,
let's just-
all I know is that when they don't have enough folks there, people
Okay.
spend a lot of money going in front of this
So
committee.
let's discuss it on the third one. I mean, if.
Okay, yeah, so the third one,
Well, I know Pag shows up, so.
All right. Are you a yes for
So are we-
John Kennedy?
We voted on it already.
Yeah, but no, I'm waiting for him.
Oh,
We have
he did,
4.
oh.
Are you a yes for John Kennedy?
I don't have enough information.
Okay, 4-1, motion passes. Now, before we go to the next one, I just want to make a general statement about attendance, not just in these particular, in all of them. And I know I've worked with Ann. Every year, you're supposed to get the attendance, and it says by our rules and our policies that they can miss 3 meetings, but if they miss 3 consecutively, then it's an issue. So we have to be, I have sent out messages to some of the boards and commissions to say, attendance is important, and we need to make sure that people are there so we can run the boards. And I think, generally speaking, it's an important.
Isn't it part of the ordinance, or aren't they?
Let me make a motion for the third one, so
Oh,
we're
okay.
not just talking in a vacuum.
Well, we're not,
Motion-
it's all
wait,
connected.
I know, but it is kind of in a vacuum. So move to approve Chris Alman as an alternate.
And I'll second that.
And that is as an alternate, correct, Ann? Yeah.
Yes. All those in favor?
Wait, so let's talk, this is when we should talk.
All right, so now I just want to make a point that I think, isn't it the responsibility of all the chair people of all the committees to file an annual report?
Yes.
that
Yes.
include- So do we have?
We
these-
do.
Okay. So
We do.
Yeah, no, I'm making the comment publicly that they are supposed to file these on an annual basis, correct?
So question to Ann then. Ann, so when these names come before us, have you taken a look at their attendance record and they are following the rules?
She's not the guardian.
According to the rules, the chair is supposed to let us know when people are absent. We don't get notice
Could we
from the
maybe
chairs.
put a double check in there?
We did a spreadsheet for Susan right before we did boards and committees event, and she is planning on sending something out.
Well, the thing is, because it says the 3 consecutive,
Right.
so if you miss 3 meetings a year, it's okay by our rules. So some of these people miss 3 meetings. It's not 3 in a row, it's just 3. So they might miss one in September, and they might miss one in June.
Well, what if they miss 50% of the meetings and they're
Then
not
it's our
consecutive?
responsibility to say, you know, this person has committed to this board or commission and they're not making the commitment. And
Right.
it's difficult because I did send out an email to the 2 largest boards saying it's really important work. I mean, so we have that information. I have sent that message, but I think we need to, as counselors, look at that. And if there's anybody that you feel is problematic, you know, you can reach out as well. But they're actually in accordance with our policy because they can miss 3. There were a couple that had maybe, 5 absences, but the majority of the people, they miss a meeting or 2 a year. That happens. And, with all the meetings they have, they're volunteers, so, things come up.
At the end of the calendar year, but really it comes more like in February, we get a report from all the boards and commissions, and it says the attendance record. So we can review that on our own, and I've sat on the council where people have said this person missed X number of meetings. And so if you have a problem with a candidate's attendance, then you got to bring it up and say they missed X number of meetings. So I try to attend when there's big issues at the zoning and planning board. I try to attend those meetings to see what's going on, just to watch and observe, so I'm familiar with what the boards are doing, that we appoint, because we appoint them, and they're 5-year terms. So they're long terms. Again, and I think that's important for us as council members to do that. And so when we talk about the interview process, we have the discretion to interview, but I think we're going to learn more if we actually attend when there's a big agenda items on at planning and zoning. So, and then we would also see who's not attending, but we also, like I said, we have that record. So
we do.
And maybe in the future you could just tell us what the numbers are, but you don't have. I mean, we can read it ourselves. So.
I can send you the spreadsheet tomorrow that we put together.
Thank you, Ann.
I think we should make it a point, when somebody's being reappointed, to have their attendance on the agenda sheet, to find out if they've been showing up, because the zoning and planning, they're very important committees. People spend a lot of money for attorneys, going through the process, and when people don't show up, it costs them money, they're not getting decisions, things are getting delayed. So,
But you don't have any concerns about the people that are tonight?
I really didn't look at it, tell you the truth.
Okay.
But I think it's something we should scrutinize. I'm sorry I didn't. It's been a
I
busy
do, but
week.
I'm happy to send it to you guys too if you don't have it. Yeah. Okay. No, it's a point well taken. I think we all agree that attendance is important and that sometimes people do miss. You can look at it, you can bring it to our attention, you can bring it to the person's attention, to the chair. Lots of different avenues to make sure the people that you are appointing are, doing their due diligence and coming. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Did we vote on Alvin?
Yeah, I thought we voted on Almond, did we?
I don't think
After
so.
all the discussion?
I would say, I would.
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
All those in favor of Chris Almond? Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
I said aye.
4
For an
and
abstention.
1 abstention. Motion passes. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a nice 4th of July and be safe. Meeting adjourned. No, Patrick, it's a